Hello and welcome to this exterior lessons, and this will be all about Octane and rendering exteriors inside of Octane. The only limitation that I really see inside of Octane is that at some point when you have too much geometry in the scene, that it simply won't load anymore in the VRAM of the graphic card, and then we simply couldn't render this scene. But this is a really simple shot for now, so this is just really an introduction, and so we don't really have much geometry. We have no grass going on, we don't have trees with 10,000 of leaves, we don't have a ground floor right now. I mean, we do have a ground floor, but without textures, without displacement, without anything else. So the geometry count is really low right now, so we shouldn't have any problem to render this. And later on in some other chapters I will show you, when we really get into grass, trees and all the other stuff, I will show you a little bit how we can optimize all this stuff to still push it through our graphic card. But I think at some point you really want to get maybe a card that can handle at least 4 GB. 6 GB would be definitely preferred. Everything above that is probably extremely expensive, but still worth the money probably. But I would really compare also the rendering times. There's a really nice ZeroToHero Octane benchmark that you can download from the ZeroToHero site and compare stuff online there, how good the cards perform for their money, and so on and so on. So I would check this out before you really go and buy a new card. Anyway, this was modeled, by the way, in the V-Ray section. So in the V-Ray section, please watch this. If you want to model this, please watch the first part of the V-Ray exterior tutorial where I start to model this complete thing. And if you also want to model this balcony, then please also watch, let me just look this up quickly. So here we go. You should watch here exterior modeling the basic building, and then a bit more modeling and tweaking. Even though there's also a little bit of a tweaking part at the end, you really only need to watch, I think, the first 10 or 20 minutes for modeling this balcony, and then you're exactly at the same level. It would just not be really good to make this complete modeling part again, just only here for this Octane part, because yeah, it's the exact same workflow, of course, so we don't really need this. We only need to talk about shaders and texturing now, really in Octane. So what we can do, first of all, I have here, you can download the scene and open it up if you don't want to model it on your own. And then I have already created a camera from an angle where I think, okay, this really looks kind of nice, and we might get a really good view onto this building. Somehow a little bit of an experimental view, but I really like it, to be honest. And so I want to give this camera here, first of all, a camera tag, and we can start Octane. Let me first of all choose here Octane. So I have all my little thingies up there, and let's start a first render, which will probably be completely dark because we don't have an HDRI yet. And let me also add this here to my screen so you can see a little bit better what's going on. So what we want to do, I mean, there are two basic things that we can do. We could use an Octane daylight, and we can use an HDRI environment. I mean, we could even use a really high area, a really big area light for this, but this wouldn't really be recommended. For some interior shots, you can do that using area lights instead of sunlight or an HDRI on the outside, which also works out pretty good. So we can talk about this later on when we really jump into interiors. But here, for an exterior shot, I would really go for an HDRI environment or for an Octane daylight. In this case, I really think an Octane skies on HDRI comes in pretty handy. Most of the really good exterior artists use most of the time an HDRI, sometimes a little bit combined with a sun. Why an HDRI and a sun object in the same scene? Just because you really can control with the sun a little bit better the shadows. An HDRI, or at least let's say not such a good HDRI, doesn't have so much or doesn't have enough information to really make a really good shadow. And if you're running into some shadow problems, you can just simply add a sun in the scene, then bring the sun to exactly to the point where the sun would be in the HDRI, and then you get the exact same illumination in the scene from the same point, but then you can also tweak the shadows in the sun, make them a little bit softer, make them a little bit harder, and you get a lot more shadows in the scene. It just simply looks a little bit realistic. But this always depends on the HDRI file as well, of course. So what we can do, we can go here and load the HDRI that I've already prepared. You will get this, of course, as download as well. So let me load this. And let's check what we get. Probably extremely bright right now. With HDRIs, it really depends. Sometimes you have to maybe, I don't know, give it power like 10 or 20 or 30. And with some HDRIs, it's really absolutely okay if you just go with a value of 1 here, or even above this. Not above this, I mean below 1. So like 0.1 or 0.005 or something like that. So right now, the kernels is here set to info channels, which is not really good, because with info channels we're just getting the wire right now, and even the wire gets triangulated because Octane triangulates everything. I think almost every render engine does it, triangulates the complete scene before rendering, just to push this through a little bit better. So we need to change this here from info channels to path tracing. And as you can see, this is really bright. So let's try this 0.1 for now maybe, and let's see where we are at in the scene. And if we can work with a value like that. Seems like Octane is not really updating a lot today, so I will just click this here again and see what I get. Okay, a little bit better, still a little bit too over bright. Let's go maybe 0.05 here. I mean, this is also a little bit a matter of taste, what kind of mood you want to have in the scene, but I think this really looks a little bit too bright here. So let's just reload this scene quickly. And I think with 0.05 it might be good. Let's maybe go 0.07. This might be a better value than 0.05. I think 0.05 is a little bit too dark, and 0.1 is a little bit too bright. I think maybe with a value like that. And the first thing we want to do is, of course, we need to create some kind of concrete texture. And if you want to create textures, we could do this from scratch, of course. We can do this in Photoshop. We can try to do this with noises inside of Cinema 4D to create maybe our own procedural material. But most of the time, and what also a lot of other artists are doing, of course, they are just simply downloading textures from a lot of different sites. But one of the best I want to show you right now. So this is textures.com, and textures.com, it has been formerly cgtextures.com. Now it's just called textures.com. It's really an awesome site where you get, I don't know, a lot of stuff. I mean, basically, I think almost everything. Landscapes, roads, wood, plastic, paper, floors, old floors, new floors, concrete, all kind of decals if you want to have some worn stuff going on, and so on and so on. So there's really a lot of stuff on there, and it's really worth. And you have like I think 15 free downloads every day, so you can really download a lot of stuff. For the higher resolution stuff, you always have to pay, but that's not really much of an issue. I mean, most of the time you don't really need the high resolution stuff because you're not that up close to the shot anyway, and if you really are, maybe you want to spend some coins there, I don't know. I'm not earning any money from them, so believe me, I'm really not getting any money from them. I'm just simply using this site a lot. Okay, so let me log in here quickly. Okay, and we want to search, of course, for some concrete, and I mean, I have already downloaded this file for the V-Ray tutorial, so I already have it on my hard disk, but I just want to show you which file you might want to download, because I don't want to download it again, and I can't really give away this texture on my site because this belongs to textures.com, of course. But like I said, just make a quick account. You have 15 credits for free, and I think we only need 1 or 2 textures from this site anyway, so you can still download then 13 more pictures for this day for whatever. So this doesn't cost you anything. And I think I did download this texture here. It's only 1024 by 830. I mean, that's not really bad, but the good thing is it's a seamless texture. And seamless texture means it's just simply seamless. So if this texture gets repeated over and over again, it will just seamlessly fit together because those edges are perfectly cut, and it will just look good even if we have a lot of repetitions or repeatings going on in our scene, this will still look good because it's a seamless texture. So like I said, I already downloaded this one. So let's go create shader, Cinema 4D Octane material, and let's jump here into the diffuse, and let's make a Cinema 4D Octane image texture. And let's load this file right here. Just have to search for it. Where I think it's somewhere under, no, not downloads. I have saved it somewhere. Let me just check it out quickly. I will just pause the video. Okay, I found it, so there it is, perfect. And we can also try to make, first of all, we want to make this glossy, because this, you know, concrete definitely picks up some light and has somehow a little bit of glossiness. So diffuse would really be not good. So I think with glossy we can go way better. And let's open this up here so we can see the preview here a little bit better. And this is of course way too glossy for a concrete material. I'm not questioning that. But I think if we go here with an index maybe of 2, something around here, I mean, you really can test this on your own as well. And then we go really pull here the roughness up. So this material gets rougher and rougher. We might get a really good concrete material. So let's maybe go with an with a value of 0.4 here. And what we also need, of course, is somehow a bump map. So we really need somehow a bump map. So let's just copy this here, diffuse, copy channel. So we have the exact same thing here in the bump, and let's go paste channel. And then we can try to, I mean, this is already working pretty good, which I think Octane is handling this pretty good. Because normally in V-Ray or something like that, I would still need a colorizer to make this maybe a little bit better. Or here for Octane, I would use probably, what is it called? A color correction, which I can put over this image texture to make this map, because we need a black and white map, of course, for bump mapping. So everything that is black will go in, and everything that is white will just simply be flat. But as you can see, this already works out pretty good, which is, I think, really nice. We might have to change the index a little bit more, maybe also a little bit the roughness, but we will first of all map it onto our object, and then we will really see what we get here. So let me check this quickly. Let me see how this does look. We can just pull this here onto our building and bring it here right in front. As you can see, the mapping is completely messed up because this is set to UV mapping. So we will just set this here to cubic. And the cool thing about Octane is we cannot just simply jump into this Octane material. And first of all, let's call this concrete, wall concrete. And we can now really go and refine this. If we go here into the diffuse, I mean, let's deactivate the bump for now, because the bump we need to do the exact same changes afterwards. Let's go into the diffuse, go image texture, and then we can here click on UV transform. And if you click on this little arrow here now, this opens up and we can do all kind of stuff. We can do, we can make some rotations with the texture now. We can make some scaling with the texture now, and we can make some, what is this called then? Not sure what it does right now. Tiling, probably tiling, I guess. So let's set this here to 0. Whoop. And let's scale this up here a little bit in the X and in the Y. Let's maybe set this here to a value of 2. And also in the Y to a value of 2. And then we can see here in the scene maybe a little bit better where we are at. I think this is still a little bit small, to be honest. As you can see here on the right side, we're still getting a lot of points. I think we can go higher here. Let's maybe go 3-3. Yeah, already looking better, looking way better. Yeah. I like this. Okay, that's good. And what we can do now is just simply go on diffuse, image texture, copy channel, and activate the bump channel, clear this here, paste channel, because all those values that we have here now are now also in the bump channel, so that the bump is exactly where we need this bump. Because if I change this here back to 1-1, the bump would be just something somewhere else and just not on our texture where we need it, or where the points are or those holes are. So this wouldn't really be good. So we need to change this here to 3-3 as well. And let's maybe go with the power here to something like 2 in the bump, so we get even a little bit more bump, which cannot hurt, I think. And anything else we want to do? I mean, I think the reflection even doesn't look so bad right away. Kind of like it, to be honest. The only thing that I want to do is I want to jump into my camera because I think this building looks kind of greenish. So I think first of all we have to enable our camera imager and change the response here to linear, or just maybe let's just click on neutral response. Yeah, and this should already help to get a neutral response here in the scene, which is pretty good. So we're not getting any green, any bluish, only that we maybe get from the sky. So we're getting maybe a little bit of blue from the sky, but everything else is kind of white, which is really, really good. And we can also get rid of the vignetting because we can always add this in post work, of course. What we can do now is just make here a little bit of a glass material, which would be good because we have some windows going on. So let's do this right now. Let's call this Octane material. Let's call this just simply glass. I guess that's fine enough. And we jump here to specular. And glass is something between, I mean, most people say it's something between 1.52 and 1.62, something between there. I most of the time just simply go with a straight 1.6. Never really let me down for normal glass, to be honest. So I think 1.6 is a really, really good value. And in the roughness, we could go maybe 0.001. So we get a little bit of roughness. I'm not sure how Octane will really handle this, if this is still too much. But glass is not 100% reflective, at least. This can make your render look a little bit distracting because it just simply looks too clean. And if something looks absolutely perfect and too clean, the eye just simply recognizes, okay, there is something wrong with this image. You don't really know where it's coming from. Maybe you do, maybe not. But at some point you just say, okay, this is definitely a rendering. And we want to avoid this, of course. We want to sell the shot as good as we can. The good thing is I already made selection tags for this for those windows. So all windows that we have in the scene do have a selection tag. So all we have to do is drop our glass right here. And if you want to really know what those selection tags do, I would really highly recommend, even if you want to work more with Octane than with V-Ray, please watch the V-Ray course as well, because there are also a lot of essential things in there that you can reuse inside of Octane and maybe give you a better idea. So if I were you, I would definitely pick up as much information from everything that I need, because V-Ray is one of the most oldest engines and still pretty common. And if you really can handle V-Ray, you really can handle the rest. Okay, anyway, let's just give it this first selection tag here. And as you can see, we are already starting to getting some really, really nice glass here. I think this tutorial will be really, really fast over because I made a lot already in V-Ray, and in V-Ray I didn't have this nice preview window like here in Octane, so I can see extremely fast what's going on in the scene. And yeah, try to make it look great, which is kind of nice, and just yeah, leaves me kind of stunned again, once again, to be honest. So, like I said, really watch those exterior parts in V-Ray as well, because you will pick up a lot of information there, and yeah, really, really a lot of information. The next thing we want to do, here we have this balcony, and with this balcony, I think I wouldn't really use this concrete texture, because this concrete texture looks a little bit kind of, how can I say that? I don't really think you would use a concrete texture like this down here. You would just simply use normal concrete. And we can make this on our own, so we can just simply go shader, cinema for the Octane material, and let's call this concrete balcony. I'm not even sure if I'm writing balcony correct. If not, please don't yell at me in the forum. I'm really sorry about that. And we can make a little bit of our own concrete material. So let's go glossy again. Let's maybe give it an index of 2 again, and let's pull up the roughness, and let's try to, let's bring it also to 0.4 here. And let's maybe try to pick up some kind of color here. So let's just try it from here, so we get exactly, or not exactly, but somehow the same color like here. And let's drop it on our balcony quickly, so we can see a little bit better how the color does match. I think it does match somehow, not too shabby. And the next thing we want to texture is those wood things that I created. I mean, we could also make metal maybe in Octane. Really up to us, of course. So we could go shader, cinema of the Octane material. And this is really, really cool inside of Octane because you have such a fast preview, so we can just simply go and play around with things and say, okay, let's try it with a metal material. How does it look? Yeah, I don't like it. Okay, let's try it with a wood material. Oh, I don't like it. Okay, let's maybe try it with a somehow painted plastic material whatsoever. So this is what I really, really love of Octane. You just have those really fast previews and really know, okay, this is maybe a look I wanna go for. So let's make this kind of silverish material. Index 8, diffuse turn to black completely, and specular maybe a little bit grayish, just a little bit, something like this. And then the roughness we can definitely go higher. I don't want to have it so bling bling. I really want to have it a little bit of diffuser. I think this looks pretty nice. And let's just drop this here where it says, I think we need to drop it on the cloner. Let's rename this maybe to handles. Let's just simply call this wood. We need to drop this now onto the handles and also onto the wood. And then we could see what we get and how this would look in some kind of metal design. I don't even think it looks that bad. I mean, it has definitely a little bit something. I mean, it looks a little bit, how can I say, this whole image looks kind of cold. But if you're looking for some kind of look like this, I mean, that's just fine. I mean, let's just leave it for now. We can change it later on to a wood material anyway, so this wouldn't really matter. What we should care about is that this image overall just looks a little bit too clean. I mean, the walls are perfectly clean. Let's say, okay, this house is maybe, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 years old. All the rain was dripping down from the walls, and the sun did also a good job in making here some imperfections. So what we can do is we could use some Octane dirt here. And how to use this dirt, I will show you this right now, and then also how we can maybe make this even a little bit dirtier. And I think I will just simply move this over to the next part so that we can really talk about the dirt in a complete own chapter. And yeah, then we will add more and more dirt till we, not too much of course, we should still have some appealing look of this building. And then in the next chapter we will talk about multipasses, and then we will put everything together and see what kind of great look we really can get inside of Photoshop. So thanks for listening, and I'll catch you in the next